So good morning everyone. So before we formally start our report for today, allow us to introduce ourselves first. Hi, my name is Catherine Denise M. Cudico.
Hi, my name is Connie Grace Corrativo. I'm Trina Missy Corbu.
And I'm Claris Cortuna.
And I am Eileen A. Geralio.
And we are the Group 3.
So now we are finally done with the first two models of disability, which is the moral or the religious model and the biomedical or individual model. We've learned that the moral or the religious model, it sees disability as either a blessing or a curse. And the biomedical or the individual model, it considers disability as a glitch which needs assessment and fixing. And now for this lesson, we are now focusing on the third model of disability, which is the functional or the rehabilitation model. But before that, you know the drill. So let me first introduce our learning objective. So our learning objective will be, in this lesson, the students should be able to, number one, know what is functional or rehabilitation model, and number two, explain the main difference between the biomedical model and functional or rehabilitation model. And lastly, learn some example under this model.
So what is functional or rehabilitation model? The functional or rehabilitation model is quite similar to biomedical model in that it sees PWDs as having deficits. These deficits then justify the need to undergo rehabilitative interventions such as therapies, counseling, and in the like of reintegrating the disabled into society. So what is this model? This model focuses on bringing the life of disabled person to get back and to improve their daily life living. Why? It's because some people, their disabilities makes hindrance or limits their functionality and performances. In terms of, when we talk about in terms of opportunities, some disabled person are rejected or being isolated because they have their disabilities. And if a person, especially in our society, so because this model is focuses on reintegrating the society, the disabled person in society, because just like when we talk about opportunities when it comes to job, some people when they see this disabled person have less capabilities, they cannot function well, then they usually become rejected by those opportunities because they label this person useless, inferior, or cannot do things well because of their disabilities. That is why the focus of this model is to provide rehabilitative services. So what are these services? Oh, these services are performed by professionals. They will undergo trainings, counseling, and therapies in order for them to get back, in order for them um, to fully participate just like non-disabled person. And the focuses or the beliefs of this model is when a disabled person works with this rehabilitative services, then they can overcome their disabilities and they can fully do things as a normal person without minding their disabilities. So this model focuses on the assistance, so the assistance that are given by the professionals to them. So that is what functional rehabilitation model is.
The main difference between the two models is in the concept of habilitation and rehabilitation. First is biomedical model. The biomedical model often suggests habilitation, which refers to help given to those whose disabilities are congenital or manifested very early in life in order to maximize function. So, what is biomedical model? The biomedical model often suggests habilitation, which refers to the process of aiming to help individual disabilities attain and to keep and improve skills and functioning for daily life. For example, a child having a cerebral palsy. As we all know that cerebral palsy is caused by abnormal brain of development or damage to the developing brain that affects a person ability to control his or her muscles. The child having a cerebral palsy needs and requires assistance of physical therapists to help them learn how to sit because both of these skills have not yet accomplished by some of children. The aim of this therapies is rehabilitation.
On the other hand, the functional or rehabilitation model refers to the assistance given by the professional for those of an acquired disability in the hope of gaining back one's functionality. So, in this part, functional or rehabilitation model actually refers to regaining skills sa mga abilities or knowledge that may have been lost due to an accident, illness, or injury. So, when we say regaining, it means that the person already have the skills but once lost. So for example, a 30-year-old man who is an Olympic runner trips na natakil po over a rock and injures his ankle during the practice. And due to this accident, this man cannot walk or run, and if not consult and seek the help of a physical therapist, he could be able to walk and run as he did before. So the aim of this therapy is considered as rehabilitation, helping this man regain a lost skills. So the difference between the habilitation and rehabilitation is a therapy that help the children have the skills that ain't yet accomplished, while the rehabilitation is regaining a lost skills. Like what I've said earlier, when we say regaining, it means that the person already have the skills but once lost.
So now that we have learned what is functional or rehabilitation model, let's have some examples under this model. So when World War I happened, communities witnessed perfectly healthy people leaving a country only to came back disabled physically, neurologically, or mentally. And with this, people learn that a disability is dili lang siya ma-acquire during the developmental stages of a person or dili lang siya kanang inborn. But it could also be that if a person will be involved in an accident or like sa kaning occurring events like sa kaning na-mention nga war. And because of this, our rehabilitative programs and services became prevalent. Like for example is kaning when a soldier will came back physically disabled, so under this model, he will be given physical and occupational therapies. Like for example, he will came back that he has a loss of leg limb. So under this model, he may be able to gain back his mobility with the help or with the aid of a prosthetic device. And another example also to connect of what is mentioned earlier, na if an athlete will acquire an injury and that injury will lead to the disruption of his physical functioning. So under this model, with the help of a professional, he may be able to improve back his functional capacity or regain back his functional capacity through kanang rehabilitative service or program that will be given to him by a professional. And with this, he may be able to get back on track again.
So, to be specific, the two models, the biomedical or the individual model and the functional or the rehabilitation model are just the same. They are the same in a way nga it conceptualizes disability as an impairment or deficit, and it focuses on the prevention, treatment, or curing of the disabling person. Now, the only main difference lang yun sa duha is in the concept of habilitation and rehabilitation, because the biomedical or the individual model tends to focus on habilitation. So habilitation is somewhat like teaching or learning a skill that you haven't had before. So it is something that you are learning how to do such thing for the first time. Whereas the functional or the rehabilitation model, it tends to focus on rehabilitation. So meaning, from the word itself, nga rehabilitation, it is something to do with reformation, recovery, or reconstruction, or unsa pa na diha. So rehabilitation teaches people to recover skills they once had. So meaning to say that a person had already the skill, but because of a certain injury or like any tragedy that had happened to them, they lose it. So again, the main purpose of rehabilitation is to recover skills that they once lost.